Welcome to the Quest Forums channel. The topic I would like to discuss today is one that's been in the news a bit lately, and it's a contentious one. It's an emotionally laden issue, and I could get myself into a bit of trouble by even daring to talk about it. And I don't know if that trouble will come now. It could come down the road sometime, just because people maybe not want to hear what I have to say and will use it against me. But I have a responsibility to tell the truth. If I run into an issue and when I see that it contradicts the clear teaching of Scripture, I have to say something about it. And so the issue in this case is the idea of reparations for American slavery. And I'll just say outright that this is an unjust concept to require this repayment because it implies guilt. Reparations are about guilt, that you have done something wrong and therefore you have to make restitution for it. And how can you apply guilt for something that happened centuries in the past that no one living is responsible for? It can't be done. And whether you're talking about American slavery or whether you're talking about what the Mongols did under Genghis Khan or whether you're talking about the Egyptian pharaohs, you can just keep going back further and further and further. And where would it end? There's no limit to it. And again, this is not a biblical concept. Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 18, verses 2 through 4. The Lord is speaking to the prophet, and he says, "What do you mean by using this proverb concerning the land of Israel? The fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. As I live, you will no longer use this proverb in Israel. Look, every life belongs to me. The life of the father is like the life of the son. Both belong to me. The person who sins is the one who will die." In other words, that everyone is going to suffer their own punishment. It's about personal responsibility. A child cannot be held accountable for something that his father did, yet alone something that his great-great-grandfather did, yet alone something that the contemporaries of his great-great-grandfather did. And I'll use myself as an example of that I don't have any relatives, or rather anyone that I'm descended from, who was living in the United States at the time that there was slavery here. All of my ancestors came over from Poland and Ireland and Wales and Italy and Germany. They came after the Civil War was over. The only relative person that I have who was here at the time was someone that we know about because we have his discharge papers from the Union Army. So the only connection I have is someone who fought to end slavery. So why should I be punished in order to pay for slavery? That is not right. That's not justice. Neither would it be, let's go further afield from people who look like me. What about Asian Americans? What about Native Americans? What about African Americans? Should they have to pay for reparations? Because that is what would happen. If you have something that the government is paying for, it's paying for it out of taxes. And if it's paying for it out of taxes, that has to come from everyone. You can't restrict it. You can't try to narrow it down to the white Southern descendants of former slaveholders. Because, for one thing, that's not a very big group. It wouldn't be much of a tax base. For another thing, that's racial discrimination. It's not constitutional to do that. And lastly, and again, most importantly, because that's not justice. You can't punish people for what their ancestors did. That's the whole point here. And so, no, reparations are not justice. They're revenge. That's the best thing that you can say about them in this case. And actually, the truth is, especially for the people pushing for this at the highest levels, it's just cynical politics. Because they know the things that I'm talking about. They know that there are never going to be reparations for slavery. But they just want to be able to point to the opponents of reparations and say that those people are racist. Well, we can't be afraid of false labels. We have to understand the truth that reparations cannot do anything to really help. Slavery has left scars on this country that are still there, but healing is not going to come this way. All that this would do would be to open them back up again. The only way that we can really find healing is through Christ, is through the one who makes one people of all tribes and tongues and nations. That is who we need to turn to. That is where our hope will actually be found. Not in making people pay for something that was done a long time ago, however horrible it was. So I do appreciate you checking this out, for listening to what I had to say. If you have any thoughts that you want to share, or if you have a question, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. Again, very much I thank you for checking out the Quest Forums channel, and until next time, keep looking up.